Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Huddle, the Review.com's weekly high school sports show. I'm executive editor Rob Toder, joined as always by sports editor Mike Brown. And Mike, week one of the high school football playoffs kind of went the way we thought, and it did not turn out too well for our local teams.
No, we thought really the surprise was Louisville. I thought that was a game that could go either way. Really, it was kind of one-sided how it turned out, Rob. And then we knew that United Local was really taking on a big challenge playing at Ursuline, especially at Youngstown State in Ursuline's backyard Saturday night, and that didn't turn out too well for the Golden Eagles as well. But hey, they got in the playoffs, which a lot of teams would love to be in, and 90% of the teams in Ohio didn't get there, so they should be happy, I would think, with that.
Yeah, let's talk about Louisville a little bit, just quickly, and I know it's the big elephant in the corner of the room that nobody wants to talk about, but the NBC, as we've said all year, was down. It's been down for a couple of years, with the exception of Louisville, and they kind of win by attrition a little bit because they've got so many athletes and players on their team. They've got a bigger enrollment, just a bigger school than everybody else, and they're winning, but it's not translating into postseason success.
No, and it's where the NBC used to be larger. There used to be bigger schools, and usually in most years you could get 3 or 4 schools in the playoffs in the NBC. Most years, this year there was 1. I think last year there was maybe 2. So it's not what it used to be. The enrollments are getting smaller outside of Louisville's, and I think that's a problem for Louisville. That going forward, they're going to have to take a look at. The league is going to have to take a look at that and see what works out best for Louisville and the league as a whole. And just like any league, no league stays together forever. And I think we've had status quo in the NBC for so long, to their credit. But I think the point has come where I think Louisville has to explore some other avenues, and the league, I think, is going to take a look at that too, and what's in the best interest of Louisville and the league.
Yeah, it's really interesting that, and since the OHSA has gone to 7 divisions for football, the NBC is getting fewer schools in the playoffs than before.
Right. You would think it would be just the opposite, and it hasn't been.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the team that won last week, and that's the Western Reserve Blue Devils. Maybe a tougher game than a lot of people thought, but their strength and overall balance, I think, played out in the end, and they defeated Toronto 27-17. So good win for the Blue Devils. Now they have to go on the road, obviously a neutral site, to Orville on Saturday evening. We don't know too much about the opponent, the Lucas Cubs. We do know that late in the season they lost 49-0 to Loudonville, a very good Division VI program that went undefeated this year. So how do you approach a game that you don't really know that much about the opponent other than what you're going to see on a couple of films?
Right, Robin. I don't remember Lucas being in the playoffs that much, so I'm sure Western Reserve's looking at that same situation where there's not a whole lot of a scouting report or a history on this team. I know they've never played them before in their past. And so I think that's something where you need to take care of business yourself. I'm Western Reserve. I'm just going to go out, execute, do the things I have to do, and let the chips fall as they may.
All right, so a good weekend of football coming up. We got round 2 of the playoffs around the state. We'll be covering a lot of those games and previewing the Western Reserve contest. So we'll see you at the stadium.